the people that love you and that you love can also perpetuate very problematic elements.
Right.
And those things can exist at the same time. And part of it is like, how do you grapple with that?
Right.
Like, how do you navigate that?
Right.
And especially at a young age, where it's like, are you equipped to navigate that? And are your parents equipped to navigate that?
And also, who do you go to, right? Like, who do you talk to about that if you don't? And, I said this to you last week, but I'll say it again publicly. Like, I think that's a conversation across race. I think that's a conversation for cis parents raising trans kids.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to react to this podcast with Charlamagne, where he discusses Colin Kaepernick. And, be interested to see what he has to say. Charlamagne is a co-presenter of The Breakfast Club, a show that discusses pop culture. And if you don't know, Colin Kaepernick is an NFL footballer who no longer in the NFL, but he's now well known for his activism. In 2016, he started protesting the killing of unarmed black men at the hands of the police here. And he began taking the knee during the singing of the national anthem. And that's what he became well known for. And that sort of overshadowed, him being an athlete. And he ended up not getting picked up by another team. Until this day, he still says that he wants to play football, even though he has compared the NFL to slavery, basically. I've done another video on him where I compared him to Meghan Markle, and I said that they're basically the same. Both race hustlers, throwing their families under the bus. And so Charlamagne is discussing Colin Kaepernick recently accusing his parents, his white adoptive parents, of perpetuating racism. So it'd be interesting to see what his take on it is. So let me know what you think.
What do people really care? That's always going to be amazing. Oh, this is hilarious. No. Colin Kaepernick says he knows his white adoptive parents loved him, but they were very problematic things that occurred during his upbringing. Do we have the video of that?
What's the problematic thing?
Do you have the video, Taylor? Play the video of this, Taylor.
Wait,
play the video,
What's happening,
Taylor.
Charlotte? What's happening?
Play the video, Taylor.
Are you off the Colin Kaepernick
listen, Colin, what do you mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? I didn't know what that means before I answer this question.
Hilarious. Are you losing support for Colin and his efforts?
What are Colin's? Here's the thing. I always had support for Colin's initial efforts. His initial efforts was he took a knee because of the police brutality that was happening to unarmed black and brown people. I was always in support of that. At some point, things got derailed when they wouldn't let him back in the NFL.
Train derailed. That was good. That was
some
good.
Things chosen. But no, at some point things got a little sketchy because it became about him being, I guess, blackballed from the NFL.
And
because when he started out, again, I do believe he started out very genuine. I personally didn't agree with the whole taking a knee during the anthem, but I've always supported his right to do that if that's what he chooses to do as a form of protest. So, I felt he started off very genuine, but then it got so ridiculous where he wants to still play football, but he's causing a lot of issues where he's bringing politics into the sport. I don't know how he ended up losing his contracts or whatever, whether he was just transferred and wasn't picked up by another team, perhaps. But I know there were some situations where he was given opportunities to join another team, where they do like a training session and, they come to observe him and that kind of thing. And apparently there were some issues and it just seemed to be a sense of entitlement. So, I think he kind of messed up his career. He still says he wants to play, even though he has compared the NFL, the whole process of recruiting, he compared that to slavery. So it's like, which one is it? You want to be involved in something that you liken to slavery, but, you want to bash the very thing that you claim you still want to be a part of. So I just think he kind of lost track. And now, in my opinion, he has to make money. And race hustling in 2023 is a good way of doing that.
As opposed to the protest.
Because the issue isn't you and your career. The issue
absolutely.
Is
I'm still all for him in his efforts to fight police brutality. I never understood the NFL thing, especially being after you point out how problematic you believe the NFL is, comparing the NFL to a plantation,
Right.
and then still wanting to be in the league. I never understood that.
Exactly.
I never understood that.
Oh, your hair's not professional. Oh, you look like a little thug.
Your mom said that too.
Yeah. And those become spaces where it's like, okay, how do I navigate this situation now? But it also is informed why I have my hair long today.
The grown-up version of Eve wanted to go back in time and give young Colin a lot of hugs. And I was really moved and saddened by the level of kind of self-awareness that he had developed at a very young age.
We can go
I was about to pause it.
Oh my God. A parent didn't like their kid's haircut. Never has happened in history. Welcome to being a child and having parents.
That's what your mom's saying to you right
As
now.
a black man,
Probably.
as a black man who used to be a black boy, black teenager, when I had an afro and I was getting cornrows and stuff, same thing happened to me.
Exactly. That's what I said. I mean, I wasn't a black boy, but I know for a fact that there are parents who do not like their boys wearing their hair in cornrows. Cornrows became very popular in the 90s, and it was associated with hip-hop culture. Yes, we can trace cornrows back to African culture. Yes, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Yes, we know that. But ultimately, here in the US, it became popular with boys, you know, because of Snoop Dogg and hip-hop artists like that. Exhibit, you know. So it unfortunately, it was associated with hip-hop culture. Well, some people might not see it as unfortunate, but whatever. That's the connotations that some parents who want the best for their sons, who want their sons to be taken seriously in a professional setting, in school, you know, they don't think it's the best hairstyle. That happens in black families all the time. So I don't know why he's singling out his parents because they're white and now likening that to racism. And that whole segment, it was like they're treating him like he was, you know, a victim. But no, you were rescued as a child. You know, that's how I see adoption. You were rescued from basically being abandoned. And I know adoption is not always positive, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, this is people who adopt, you know, they're doing a good thing. And they adopted you, they loved you. And you're using cornrows to say they perpetuated racism and acting like a victim, like you had a bad childhood or something. But in reality, you were given opportunity after opportunity. You got to become an NFL player. You could have been a baseball player. You had that choice. So you were given opportunities that you would not have had necessarily had you not been adopted by this couple. And this is the thanks they get.
And I don't have white parents.
Oh my
I have a black mom and a black dad who did not like that. Especially when I started wearing Chuck Taylors and Snoop Dogg had that murder case. Boom. When
Snoop Dogg.
My dad.
Exactly. A lot of people associated it with Snoop Dogg. And I think he made it popular in the 90s. He made cornrows popular for young boys in the 90s, artists like him. So it's associated with hip hop culture. And yes, there is a connotation of a thuggish, you know, persona to cornrows. That's just the reality. Doesn't mean that, you know, it's racism if you don't like cornrows. It just happens to be Colin's parents were white. You know, there are white families where white parents tell their kids to cut their hair, you know, look more professional. This is nothing new.
Dad had us fit. Oh, you think you Snoop Dogg? Oh, you think you Snoop Dogg? No. He made me, especially when I was getting in trouble in school, He made me cut my hair because for whatever reason, me having a big afro and wanting to get cornrows and wearing Chuck Taylors equated to me wanting to be a thug or I'll never be able to get a good job or anything else. Like, I don't think that's something that's exclusive to race.
Thank you.
But when you see everything through the lens of racism, you're going to find it. And that's what he sees right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say I will say it is slightly through the lens of racism because my parents may have been thinking about how the world would have perceived me.
That's what his parents were thinking too.
But isn't that racist though?
No, they're going, the world is racist. So we have to protect you from the racist world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is through the lens of racism. I'm saying.
Okay, so he's saying that as a black boy, you may be perceived as a thug. People prejudge you when you have your hair like that. Unfortunately, that's the reality. So yeah, maybe because of race, I'm sure I know some white guys who wear, like Justin Timberlake wore his hair in cornrows. I don't know how his parents felt about that. But so perhaps they wanted to, but that's the thing with black parents too. So they want to protect their sons. They want to say, look, you want to be taken seriously in the workplace. You want to be taken seriously, for college and things of that nature. Cornrows is probably not the best way to go. And in particular I would say for anybody, but as a young black boy, that your parents are going to be aware that you may be prejudged when you go out there. And wearing your hair in cornrows, which, people associate with Snoop Dogg, as he was saying, and rappers, it's not going to be the best style for you to be taken seriously.
And it's all through the lens of racism.
Yeah, but the parents weren't doing it because they're ignorant racists, which is how he's positioned.
Oh, no. They weren't doing it because they were racist.
They just know that the world looks at those cornrows in a certain way. Now, also, the reason why you want them is because the people that are badass and cool and rebellious in society are the ones wearing them. And when you're a young person, you're trying to find your own identity, and you find that by breaking free from those people who are telling you what to do, which are your parents. So of course you're going to gravitate to. I had cornrows when I was a fucking kid for the same reason. I was
you did have cornrows.
Of course I did.
Andrew Schulz had cornrows.
And you know what my parents
I seen the
said?
picture.
Nothing. That's how you know they're racist. They didn't even look out for me.
Yeah, his parents didn't even care. They're like, you wear your cornrows. See, at least Colin's parents, they cared.
You know what I mean? They just let me walk around like an asshole, motherfucking cornrow.
It don't look the same on white people though.
They look better, right?
It don't look intimidating. There's nothing about it that looks like it looks goofy. Like
it does.
That's the beauty of being white.
You know what? You probably always showed signs of being a comedian. They always
He's so
when you got your cornrows, it's like there goes Andrew being Andrew.
Silly goose. I was such a silly goose with my cornrows. You can't really be a silly goose as a black dude with the cornrows, huh?
No.
It's zero to thug real quick.
No, it is. Seriously.
It is, yeah.
It is. Especially if people don't understand the culture. I think people are just getting to the point where they understand, like, all right, that don't mean that a person is thugged out because they got dreadlocks, because they got cornrows.
This is really sad because it almost feels like he knows that because he's selling a book right here. That's what it is, right? It's a graphic novel. So he's like, he's grifting off of racism, and now he's willing to sell his parents out just so he can profit off of racism. That's what this feels like. I don't know if
That's what's so sad about it. You're throwing your parents under the bus, for like he said, for you to profit because you're selling your book. Really, really sad. I'm sure they deserve much better than that.
Intention, but it feels like right now he's willing to call his family that raised him racist so that he can sell graphic novels.
Man, if they take the adoption back,
bro, you should be able to do that, bro. You should be able to do that. Nah, you're not our son, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that.
It's really disappointing, man.
I don't know if I would. I don't think I think all parents have done that. Black, if you're a white parent that a young black man, I think you have done that before. If you're a black, I definitely know my parents did that to me.
Yes,
100%.
Yes,
but yeah, man, go get Colin's graphic novel. Go get his graphic novel.
I mean, like, who's reading that? Where's the audience for this?
It'll probably hit the New York Times bestsellers list.
Okay, so very interesting. Again, it's nice to hear people just talk common sense, because we're living in such a heightened sense of being offended by everything. That's the way that people grift now these days. They want you to be worked up into a frenzy. They want you to see everything as racist. They want you to see everything as, an attack. So it's good to just hear some common sense. Let me know what you think. Do you think Colin is just grifting off of racism? Apparently, it's a good hustle these days. Yeah, so share your thoughts below. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.